at all-time favorite music hits. Sa lungkot at ligaya, kami pa rin ang inyong kasama. We're the place where you truly belong. Mula sa TVH Group of Networks, ito ang inyong himpilan. Ito ang inyong tahanan. Number 1 sa Mega Manila. Live from Kool Studios, this is koolNews at noon.
Good afternoon, Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao. This is koolNews at noon. I'm Cairo, and we are live on Kool FM and News Radio 93.1, where we share some headlines that care for you. Let's begin with our headlines. The Senate can still convene and proceed with the impeachment trial of Vice President Senator Duterte if it has the will to do so, retired Supreme Court Senior Associate Justice Antonio Carpio said on Sunday. Speaking at the media forum, Carpio explained that while the upper chamber is currently adjourned and has argued that it could not convene without being called into session, legal and procedural paths could allow it to move forward. For one, President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. could call a special session for Congress to enact an urgent law, such as amending the General Appropriations Act, particularly the zero allocation for the Philippine Health Insurance Corporation or the budget for the Armed Forces of the Philippines Modernization Program, Carpio said. That can be done. The President can say, I'll give you 25 days to convene a special session. Amending the GAA is easy, so they have an extra 20 to 24 days. Even in just 20 days, it can be done. So they can now convene an impeachment court because there is a session. That's one way to do it, Carpio explained. Allies of former President Rodrigo Duterte on June 27 questioned the budget before the Supreme Court, particularly what they claimed to be black items in the Joint Appropriations Bill. The High Court on February 4 asked the Executive Department and Congress to comment on that petition. But Carpio conceded that even if a special session is called, the Senate might still be pressed for time since a respondent will have 10 calendar days to submit their comment for or answer. That is a long time, 10 calendar days. So you will not have a lot of time in those 20 days, Carpio said. At the same time, he suggested that witnesses submit judicial affidavits to simplify cross-examination. That can be done. 3 days for the prosecution, 3 days for the respondent if you have a judicial affidavit. I think it can be done if there's a will, he added. On Sunday, however, Senate President Francis Escudero said he had no intention of requesting President Marcos to call a special session to start the impeachment trial. Will that request come from me? No, because as I have said, I don't want to treat this as a special case because I don't want to be criticized for rushing this issue as compared to the other previous impeachment complaints, Escudero said in an interview over Radio DCWB. Marcos earlier said that he will call a special session only if requested by the upper chamber. Escudero reiterated that there was no reason to expedite the trial while the Congress was in recess, as he noted that the previous impeachment cases were not expedited. Duterte is not special. The position of the Vice President is not special for us to rush for impeachment trial, just as we did not hasten proceedings for the Chief Justice or replacement. All impeachable officers must be treated equally under the Constitution, he noted. Escudero stressed the need to be diligent in studying the impeachment complaint and in preparing for the formal trial later on, even as some sectors expressed disappointment over this seeming lack of action by the Senate. In the political process like impeachment, there would always be a sector that would be displayed. We can't do anything about it, he said. In the end, we will decide not to make one party happy, but one that is based on the process and evidence. He added that no one among his colleagues in the Senate has so far pushed for the conduct of a special session or asked that we request the President to call for one. In the same matter, the Senate leader said Marcos has also not expressed any intention to call a special session for the impeachment trial of Duterte. No indication from the President, but of course, if he calls for a meeting, we will attend, he added. Escudero also said he had ordered the posting of the articles of impeachment, a public document on the Senate website, so it could be viewed by the public. In the lower chamber, a member of House of Representatives, 11-member prosecution team, also maintained that they were not rushing the Senate to convene as an impeachment court. Deputy Majority Leader Lauren Defensor pointed out that the prosecutor would never dictate on the judge to begin proceedings, but asserted that it is the 1987 Constitution stating that the impeachment trial should proceed forthwith. In an interview on DCWB's Pantay Balita sa Congreso on Sunday, defenders said an impeachment complaint against a high-ranking official in the country involves national interest. The Constitution itself states that the trial shall forward proceed. Why does the Constitution say that? Because if a high-ranking official has done wrong, the wrongdoing should be stopped. The trial should begin for us to determine if that official should continue to be an official, as a president, vice president, or as a Supreme Court justice, he explained. We are leaving it up to the Senate. As early as now, we want to treat the Senate as an independent constitutional and impeachment court. And if you're a prosecuting lawyer, you don't tell the judge, let's start the hearing at once. You will really wait for when the judge will set the hearing, defense said. According to the impeachment primer by the University of the Philippines College of Law, there are two views on whether the Senate can proceed with the trial while in recess. One argues that it must wait until the session resumes, as was done in past impeachment cases. During the Estrada impeachment trial and the Corona impeachment trial, both proceedings were suspended while the Senate was in recess. If this were the case, the Senate can only conduct the impeachment trial up to Thursday when it resumes session after June 2, 2025, unless it is called into a special session by the President pursuant to Article 6, Section 15 of the Constitution, read the document prepared by Assistant Professor Apollo Thomas in his team. The other view asserts that the Senate can and should hold trial immediately, even when Congress is not in session. It cited Article 9, Section 3 of 4 of the Constitution, which orders that trial by the Senate shall proceed forthwith, suggesting urgency. Further, sections in the Constitution are legislative in character and in practice, non-legislative or preparatory work continues even when Congress is adjourned. In that light, impeachment is not a legislative function, and the power to try impeachment cases can be exercised even when session is suspended, the primary. The impeachment complaint against the Vice President, signed by 215 lawmakers, accuses her of culpable violation of the Constitution, bribery, theft, and corruption, betrayal of public trust, and other crimes, including the alleged misuse of up to 612.5 million pesos in confidential funds for her office and the Department of Education when he was secretary. Is it really love? Maybe not. Philippine and Australian officials are warning against romance scammers online this Valentine's season. While there may be people who found lasting relationships through the internet, others are not so lucky and have fallen victim to romance scams, where fraudsters using dummy accounts cultivate fake relationships with their victims in dating apps or social media for financial gain. The Australian Federal Police last month alerted around 5,000 of its citizens who were potential victims of Philippine-based scammers. Philippine authorities worked together with Australian counterparts in late 2024 to identify those likely Australian targets of the alleged romance scam after a Philippine offshore gaming operator's hub was raided in Paranaque City in October. Smaller program operations continued despite the December 31st, 2024 deadline imposed by President Marcos for the shutdown of local hubs in the country. If you're talking to someone you have met online, do your research and make sure they are genuine. Look them up on Google, perform a reverse image search on their profile picture, or ask to meet them in person or via video call. More importantly, never send money to people you have met online, said AFP Commander of Cybercrime Operations, Rame Marshall, in a joint statement with the National Anti-Scam Center in the Philippines Presidential Anti-Organized Crime Commission and Bureau of Investigation. To raise awareness about the scheme, the Philippine and Australian agencies detailed a round-con script used by the Manila-based scammers against their targets online to recognize the warning signs. Scammers will use emotive language and create backstories that sound genuine to try to trick you into giving them money, Marshall said. A simple conversation would turn into a sudden romantic connection. The scammer will portray herself as a kind-hearted Filipino woman living in Australia or a local female resident in the Philippines who was heartbroken by an ex-fiance who wanted my money, not my love, according to authorities. Once trust established, the scammer will simply bring in cryptocurrency trading into the conversation as their side job and how it helped him or her reach significant wealth. They would later teach the victims about making cryptocurrency investments ranging from $300 Australian dollars to $800, and then eventually ask the victims to transfer those to their accounts. The scammers will then continue to encourage their victims to make more investments. Other signs to watch out for were overly affectionate behavior by someone you have just met online who starts professing love unusually quickly. Those looking for love online should also be careful with what they share. Never disclose personal information or send intimate photos to people you don't know, as this may be used to blackmail or steal your identity, authorities said. Once you suspect a scam, the agencies said you should cut off all communication with the scammer and take screenshots of conversations and profiles before blocking them. Report it to your authorities, the online platform, and your bank when necessary. Being deceived by someone online can have long-lasting financial and emotional effects. If something feels off, take a step back and seek advice from a family member, friend, or work colleague, Marshall said. And officials said the Philippines and New Zealand are expected to conclude a visiting forces agreement within the year as the former continues to shore up support from more like-minded partners amid growing tensions between Manila and Beijing in the South China Sea. Defense Secretary Gilbert Teodoro Jr. said the negotiations for the key defense pact could finish within the first semester of the year. We're now at the pace of alliance building. Strengthening alliance so the SOFA or Status of Visiting Forces Agreement with New Zealand is an important part of both countries and multilateral countries' initiatives to resist China's unilateral narrative to change international law. Dito reported on the sidelines of the Waitangi Day reception in Makati City last week. The Philippines and New Zealand officially started negotiations for the SOFA on January 23 in Manila. The delegations were led by Defense Undersecretary Pablo Lorenzo and his counterpart Defense Director Kathleen Perses. The SOFA will see increased defense cooperation and allow both countries to hold exercises in each other's territories. Manila already has similar agreements with Washington and Canberra, while a deal with Tokyo has yet to be ratified by their parliament. Negotiations are also ongoing with Canada and France. Sources said it was possible that New Zealand would conclude negotiations ahead of Canada, which is in the final stages of discussions of a similar deal with the Philippines. There is a strong political commitment to conclude a Status of Visiting Forces Agreement, New Zealand Ambassador Catherine McIntosh said in the same event with Teodoro. We are deeply concerned by the current developments in the West Philippine Sea, and New Zealand has been consistent in our messages around the escalation of tensions, she said. Like Manila, Wellington is a close security partner of Washington. New Zealand and the United States are also close strategic partners and members of the Five Eyes Intelligence Alliance, which includes Australia, Canada, and the United Kingdom. Later on koolNews at noon, 20% of flu cases are fatal, expert reminds the public. Gasoline price updates as diesel and gasoline are down by 10 centavos per liter starting February 11. And in the concerning news, no one is safe. Filipinos in the United States fear Trump immigration crackdown. And in the entertainment news, Kia Maid of the Philippines is Rina Hispano-Americana 2025. With that, we will return with more news headlines right here on koolNews at noon after the break.
The insane rock of Manila has never been this good.
This is how we rise, oh, heavy as a hurricane, louder than a freight train. Tinapos mo ako sa sarili kong mundo. This is what you asked for. This is what you asked for. Heavy is the.
This is Rock Weekdays with G. Mondays to Fridays, 4:30 p.m. on Cool FM.
This is what you asked for. Heavy is the. Cool FM.
Maulan man, no worries na amoy kulob ang damit.
Charm, Fabcon, bangong pumakabloom, tanggal amoy kulob sa bango ng Charm.
Charm Fabcon with Bloom Fresh technology kills 99.9% of kulob-causing bacteria tested. May aroma burst pa of thousands of flowers and berries.
Ang sampay sa loob, no amoy kulob.
Bangong kumakabloom sa Charm.
Manufactured by ACS Manufacturing Corporation. ISO certified world-class quality.
ACS.
Uy, low blood ka, diba? Pero bakit parang glowing ka? First Sulfate yan!
United Home First Sulfate Iron supports healthy blood for a healthy glow with proper diet and healthy lifestyle.
Unilab yan.
Iron is the generic name of United Home First Sulfate Iron. If symptoms persist, consult your doctor.
Cafe 5-in-1 plus 1 coffee mix. Ito ang kape na very healthy at complete. Puro ang sangkap, tunay na may herbal ang kape.
Suave, suave, suave.
Ang Mark Cafe, di lang kape. Ito ang coffee na may herbal pre, na pampa-enhance ng isipan, pampalakas ng katawan. Masarap inumin araw-arawin dahil may Panax, ginseng, agaricus, blazay, muril, mushroom at syempre spirulina. Puro ang sangkap talagang mabisa at ito ay masustansya. Di lang to swabeng higupin, maganda din sa immune system.
Mark Cafe 5-in-1 plus 1 coffee mix. Ito ang kape na very healthy at complete. Puro ang sangkap, tunay na may herbal ang kape. Basta Mark Cafe, suave, suave, suave. Mark Cafe 5-in-1 plus 1 coffee mix. Suave.
Mark Cafe 5-in-1 plus 1 Coffee Mix. Mabibili na sa inyong mga suking tindahan, drugstores at supermarket sa inyong lugar.
Hello mga ka-efficasan! Si Kay Abaday ni. Naabang may mga sakit-sakit ang gipamati sa inyong mga kalawasan? Ihaplos ra na! Gamit ang Efficacent Oil Extra Strength. Kaysa Efficacent Oil Extra Strength, haplos, ayos! Unsa pa inyong gihulat? Palit na sa inyong mga suking tindahan o butika ug haplos, ayos. Methyl salicylate plus camphor plus menthol is the generic name of Efficacent Oil Extra Strength. If symptoms persist, consult your doctor.
Ang lakas mo, may ilalakas pa. Sa Revicon Forte, may muscle-building amino acids tulong para mas lumakas ang katawan with proper diet and exercise. Pag malakas ang katawan, lumalakas din ang loob. May lakas para sa ambisyon mo.
Revicon Forte!
Lakas!
Unilab yan. Multivitamins, minerals, and amino acids is the generic name of Revicon Forte.
Bakit kahit quality, abot kaya pa rin ang mga gamot ng RightMed? Dahil gusto ng RightMed na gumaling kayo nang kayo'y nakakakilos, nakapagtatrabaho. Coco Martin po at kasama ako ng RightMed na naghahangad na gumaling kayo. Sumaya, makibahagi ng gusto sa buhay. Para sa pamilya, para sa bayan.
Dahil gusto namin na gumaling kayo.
If symptoms persist, consult your doctor.
Mark Cafe na araw-arawin, di ka mabibitin. Pag Mark Cafe ang iyong tinimpla, kaya bilhin na Mark Cafe na tayo. Mark Cafe na kami, kung hanap mo'y 5-in-1 plus 1. Mark Cafe na.
Mark Cafe. Ang sarap ng natural.
You're running late for the prom when something goes wrong.
Nakapanit ako og sapatos ng matangtanga ang swela sa akong sapatos.
Hello? It's late! Where are you?
Crunch time, what you gonna do?
Keep cool with new Nestle Crunch Cookies and Cream. Vanilla ice cream with cookie bits coated in white chocolate and crisp cereal.
I got this. For my cool blue chucks to rock my white socks. K-O-K to the prom I'm on my way.
New Nestle Crunch Cookies and Cream ice cream. Keep cool with Crunch.
Magdobling ingat dahil advance na ang mga scammers ngayon. Kaya nilang gumawa ng IMSI catcher na parang fake cell towers para kumonek sa phone mo. Gamit to, nagsisend sila ng text na may link na kunwari galing sa mga legitimate institutions tulad ng GCash. Pag makatanggap ng message with a link, SMS spoofing scam yan. Tandaan, GCash will never send links. Kahit GCash ang nag-text ng link, huwag mong i-click. Galing ang SMS sa scammers na gumagamit ng illegal cell site para ma-hijack ang SMS. GCash is supervised by the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas. Kahit GCash ang nag-text ng link, huwag mong i-click. SMS spoofing scam yan. Galing ang SMS sa scammers na gumagamit ng illegal cell site para ma-hijack ang SMS. Tandaan, GCash will never send links.
Welcome back to koolNews. Influenza may just start with colds, coughs, or fever, but an infectious disease expert has warned Filipinos not to play down the respiratory illness, especially in its peak season this month, as its many complications can actually kill a person. According to Dr. Ron Solante, Flu cases are reported in the country throughout the year, but they peak during the so-called respiratory virus season from October to February, which coincides with the called Northeast Monsoon Amihan season. There's a misconception among Filipinos that flu is just a regular illness like colds that goes away on its own, he said. He stressed that while most of the patients who contract flu recover in 5 to 7 days after getting enough rest, fluids, and medicines, 20 to 30% of these eventually develop an infection in their lungs, which is pneumonia. Those who are more at risk of flu complications include infants, senior citizens, and those with existing health conditions. A weakened immune system fighting a strong virus leads to severe infection in the lower respiratory system, including the inflammation of the lungs. These patients admitted to the hospital need to be intubated because they already have difficulty in breathing and very low oxygen in the blood. Sometimes, because of severe pneumonia, these patients die, Solantes said. Data from the Philippine Statistics Authority showed pneumonia ranked fourth among the top causes of death in the country in 2023. It killed 44,079 or 6.3% of the 694,821 registered deaths in the country in that year. Flu implications can also cause sepsis, which may lead to widespread organ failure and eventually death. Studies also suggest that patients with flu can develop heart including heart attack, heart failure, and death. Launch warnings came up following the untimely death of Taiwanese actress Barbie Hsu, or more popularly known as Shanghai in the hit TV series Kindergarten at only 48 years old due to influenza-induced pneumonia while on vacation in Japan. Foreign media reported that before her death, Hsu and her family declined to be admitted to the hospital despite showing severe health warning signs. Based on experience, a lot of patients and their families underestimate flu symptoms. They only see a doctor once there are complications and it's already late, Solantes said. He stressed many were worried of being admitted to hospitals due to the foreseen high cost of treatment. His advice, if your flu symptoms do not go away in 5 days, it's better to see a doctor, whether you are a healthy individual or you have no comorbidities, but more if you are elderly with heart diseases or diabetes or an alcoholic beverage drinker. The doctors need to see you and do a respiratory test. They'll be able to properly diagnose and see the extent of the infection. Yeah. Based on the latest data, the Department of Health logged 5,789 cases of influenza-like illnesses from January 1 to January 18, which is 54% lower than the 12,620 cases during the same period last year. Only one death was reported during the period compared to 26 deaths recorded last year. And now it's time for the oil price updates, as fuel retailers will reduce the prices of petroleum products by as much as 30 centavos per liter beginning tomorrow on Tuesday. A separate advisory, Sea Oil and Shell Pilipinas said gasoline and diesel prices will be slashed by 10 centavos a liter. The per liter price of kerosene will likewise go down by 30 centavos. Leo Velas, Jet Petroleum president, earlier said the potential downward adjustments in pump prices could be attributed to recent decisions of US President Donald Trump, particularly concentrated on Canada and Mexico. Weak demand concerns in the US following a larger than expected build in crude oil and gasoline stockpiles, and worries that the renewed China-US trade war could slow down economic growth and hamper demand for oil further pressure prices, he added in his statement. Akbayan Representative Percival Zedana welcomed Senator Ronald Pato de la Rosa's apology over his group of punching the House lawmakers' face to even it out, and said it should be expressed to all stroke survivors who were offended. Dylan Streeter, a stroke survivor, reported out the flak the senator received should serve as a lesson that leaders needed to be human, and that a call for accountability wasn't a personal attack. In a short statement on Sunday, Zedana said, "I welcome Senator Pato's apology. I hope he can also do the same to all stroke survivors who were hurt by his remarks. We're not only skin, but it's a different matter when a public servant of such a high position uses his voice to threaten people with violence and discriminate against people with health concerns," he said. Zedana said in Filipino, "May this serve as an important lesson that a real leader doesn't just have power, but should also have caring attitude to keep our political discourse rational and human, and that a call for accountability is not a personal attack against anybody, but the responsibility of each Filipino." Deputy Minority Leader Francis Castro, the ACT Teachers Representative, declared De La Rosa's statement as cruel and reflected the Duterte's toxic politics. She stressed that public services are needed to elevate instead of debasing political discourse. There's no room for coarseness in political discourse, which should be focused on issues. Senator De La Rosa's remarks are not only crude but reflect the kind of toxic politics that the Dutertes represent, she said. These discriminatory comments have no place in political tit for that. Instead of addressing the serious allegations of corruption and abuse of power in the impeachment complaint, De La Rosa resorts to personal attacks and mockery of a person's medical condition, the lawmaker added. Castro pointed out that instead of addressing the serious allegations in the impeachment complaint, they resorted trivializing the process and attacking critics personally, referring to De La Rosa and Vice President Sara Duterte. The Chinese embassy in Manila said it was deeply shocked by a statement from a U.S. embassy staff who refused to have his passport program when stopped by traffic enforcers last week and expressed a concern that it would be sent to Chinese spies. We have noted reports of this in our TV shocked and concerned about the relevant basis accusations against China and its so-called Chinese spy narrative, the Chinese embassy said in a statement over the weekend. It said it looked forward to the final results of the investigation by Philippine law enforcement authorities. The incident occurred around 8:30 a.m. on February 7 when the Special Action and Intelligence Committee for Transportation of the Department of Transportation issued a temporary operator's permit to a 32-year-old American citizen who was flagged for unauthorized use of the EDSA busway along Ortigas Avenue. The American driver, operating a black SUV with one passenger, was unable to present a driver's license and instead showed his U.S. passport and claimed to work at the U.S. Embassy in Manila, the agency said in a statement. A video posted by the SAICT showed a male passenger from a vehicle objecting to the photo taking of the driver's passport, claiming it was illegal and raising concerns that it might end up in the hands of Chinese spies. You know what he could do? He could sell the picture of a passport to the Chinese spies. How do you know he's not going to do that? The passenger said. The DOD or SICT said tensions rose when the passenger challenged the officer over the passport photo taking, demanded the image be deleted, and insisted of speaking to a high-ranking police official to resolve the issue before it escalated to the embassy level. If we have to report it to the U.S. Embassy, we're going to make an official diplomatic action that he is turning into still use diplomatic material. I don't want to do that, he said. I would like to handle this through the Philippine National Police. We're going to talk to him. If we can just finish this so this stays low, that would be much better, he added. U.S. Embassy for Sports said it was aware of reports of an incident on EDSA regarding a member of the embassy community. The U.S. Embassy instructs all staff to obey Philippine laws, including traffic regulations, it said in a statement. And now into a mix of international news focused on Filipinos or W's. A wave of fear is sweeping through Filipino communities in the U.S. as President Donald Trump's immigration crackdown puts pending residency peoples at risk and raises the specter of imminent deportation for those staying illegally. Since his return to the White House on January 20, Mr. Trump has signed a slew of immigration-related executive orders to toughen U.S. border policy, tighten visa vetting procedures, and clamp down on illegal migrants. He also suspended referee admissions and sought to end birthright citizenship, though the courts have temporarily blocked the move to an automatic U.S. citizenship for children born to unauthorized immigrants on U.S. soil. There were around 350,000 undocumented immigrants from the Philippines in the U.S. as of 2022, the fifth highest number of the Mexico, Guatemala, El Salvador, and Honduras, data from the U.S. Department of Homeland Security show. According to the U.S. Census Bureau, there were 4.1 million Filipino Americans as of 2022. Filipino American civic leader Genevieve John Benda told the Straits Times that migrant communities across the U.S. are worried that Mr. Trump's tougher immigration policy could potentially lead to unjust treatment of migrants regardless of their status. We believe that no one is safe, said Ms. Jo Banda, who previously served as national co-chair for the Filipino Americans for Harris Group that backed the Democratic ticket in 2024 U.S. presidential election. There's this misconception that if you're a model minority, that if you work hard, pay taxes, you're not a violent person, that you're not going to be targeted. But there's no screening mechanism to be able to say whether or not you are a threat to the community, she said. The fear is all too real for California-based homemaker Christy De La Cruz, 37, a Filipino migrant whose status in the U.S. remains in limbo. She used to hold a tourist visa on the relative, who was a naturalized U.S. citizen, filed a petition to get her a permanent resident visa or green card. She completed her paperwork in April 2024 but has not been given a visa interview slot to date. And finally, in the entertainment, the maid from the Philippines was crowned Reina Hispano-Americana 2025 in ceremonies held in Santa Cruz, Bolivia on February 9 or February 10 in Manila. Mate, who hails from the political clan of the Remolans of Cavite, bested 24 other aspirants in the Latin-dominated international competition, inherited title from 23rd orator for winner Marisalo Gamara Papero. Her victory is the second time that the country was able to back the crown of the Filipino actress Teresita Sin William Marcos in 2017. It is now exactly 12:30 p.m. and that is it for koolNews at noon. We will return with more news headlines later with koolNews at 6 and koolNews prime time at 10:30 p.m. You can also send us your comments, suggestions, and feedback through our email at tvh.philippines.news@gmail.com. Once again, I am Cairo. This has been koolNews at noon. The music continues right here on Kool FM. This is your station. This is Hope. Good afternoon.